Welcome back to Chow Time Pod. It's your host Red. I got a video today from Passport OG. You know, Passport Pops always be putting out bangers about Passport Bros. Passport Bros Superpower. It's the American experience. How we lived in America has actually given us a leg up in other countries. Not just because of the money, but how men were raised here because we're different. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
Oh, all right, Aisha. I think it's time for a drink. What do you say?
Absolutely.
Yes, we get to drink. Marcel? Marcel? Oh,
You don't have to look very far to find stories of passport sisters, if that's the term you'd like to use, having issues with various authorities in countries outside of the West. And one of the underlying reasons for this, or should I say the underlying reason for this, is if you go to some countries outside of the West, there is a code of conduct that's allowed, even in a joking manner, that's simply just not a joke. And if you do any kind of behavior that's similar to that outside of the West, it's not going to be seen as a joke at all.
Babe, I want to break up with you. I want to break up with you. We're done right now. Get out of here. Because I don't like you anymore. You're like boring. Well, now I don't want it. I don't want you talking to me. Just go away, dude. We're broken up. I told you I want to break up with you.
I love. Poor kid. He definitely looks pretty devastated.
Well, I don't. No, get out.
It's pretty simpy though.
For a growing group of young people that are in the dating marketplace right now, this is seen as a healthy relationship. And it's one thing of...
Yeah, I mean, I guess Passport Pop is correct. I guess this is a normal relationship nowadays, right? Fuck.
Course, if this is done in private and it's an inside joke between the two of them, but to record his honest reaction to losing a woman that he cares about and almost turning him into a joke and then uploading it to social media to get likes is a blatant sign of disrespect.
Yep. I actually have nothing to say about it. It gets done so often nowadays that they don't care about your personal lives. They don't care about your privacy anymore. They just want those likes. They want those clicks. They want those clout.
And if you think that something like this could possibly be a joke,
I feel bad for him. Like, I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for young men nowadays that are dealing with shit like this. And they don't know how to handle it. And they think that this is the only options they have. These shitty women that treat them so shittily.
that is something that can only be a joke in certain places on the planet. And there are other places where even the hint of doing this in private is seen as ultimate disrespect. Correct. But to do something like this in public and then get a chuckle out of it, that just shows that the norm in certain places is so different from other places that if you carry that attitude overseas, it's just a disaster waiting to happen.
That is true.
You could say that this looks like a skit, or even the young woman allowing herself to be taken away so easily from her quote-unquote boyfriend. It doesn't seem like it's real, but I would say that those points are not necessarily all that important. What I think is most important is how, frankly, how a room full of people can look at a man be humiliated and find it entertaining. That is
a problem I have too.
It's just something that we've gotten used to. The fact that a whole group of people can watch this man who supposedly cares about this woman, have that woman taken away from him by another guy who I guess has more swag, whatever, and see it as entertainment that he's watching someone that he cares about being, you know, taken away from him as like this on-camera joke, and it's entertainment. That is a climate that says you are not worthy of decent respect. And again, these kind of jokes, they just don't translate. So if you...
Again, Passport Pops it keeps repeating it. respect. There's a certain level of respect that other countries have. They don't do shit like this because this is seen as mad disrespectful. And it's okay in the West. It's okay how people get treated here. Men over here are much nicer than most men in other countries. Why? Because we go through shit like this. We were raised differently. The other countries were raised to be a little bit more, you know, masculine and more patriarchy like, just because that's how those countries have to be ran to be successful. And in our country, it's rainbows and sunshines in a sense where you don't have to do certain things. You can do whatever the fuck you want, and you'll probably still be all right in a sense, but it ruins the dating market for both sides because men are raised to be a lot less aggressive, a lot more nicer, you know, to do a lot more things for women. Other countries aren't like this. This is why women like men from the West more than men from their own countries, because men from the West are nicer. They were built differently than men from their own country. And the money factor happens to be a nice thing.
You think that humiliating a guy in public like this is some kind of joke? There are, again, only certain places that joke is going to translate. This particular woman is at the dentist and she's about to get, I guess it's laughing gas, and her husband is sitting in the room and she just openly disrespects her husband.
I want to feel a little loopy, okay?
Finally, I can breathe. Ew, babe. You look cute.
Thank you,
But
baby.
not better than your friend. Your friend who be having on them gray basketball shorts be swinging. I be like, yo, shawty with the gray shorts.
You said the nigga.
Wow.
Yes,
Loopy,
your
yeah.
friend fine.
Loopy.
I wish I would have got with your friend before I got with you because you the ugly friend and I didn't even know.
One of the things that I think makes us very
Men do not accept this type of treatment. Just leave these women. You guys deserve better.
special as black men is that we have grown up in a situation where we basically had to learn to tolerate disrespect and still try to establish a level of dignity in ourselves, even if the world around us, and that might even include our own women, don't show us any respect. But the flip side to that is, when we go to other places, we understand how to show respect. And if you're someone that's used to not showing respect and you go overseas to places where they are expecting you to be respectful, the fact that you might miss a couple of opportunities to be respectful and they notice it and you pass it off is going to put you at risk of making a major faux pas. And that's something that you'll see in countries that are not as westernized. If you get outside of the West, and I would even say a country like Japan, and go to some countries where the guys are a bit closer to what you would see in patriarchal countries, they are not going to look at these kinds of things as jokes. And especially for your wife on camera to say that she would have rather be with your best friend because he was better looking than you. If you're in a country where, like us as black men come from, where all you can do is just eat that disrespect, is one thing for us because we can go somewhere and get more respect in other places. But if you're someone that feels that comfortable openly disparaging your husband in front of the dentist on camera, there aren't many countries that you can get away with that.
Nope.
And you're starting to kind of see this play itself out when some of the people around us are taking that overseas. I'm sure you remember this scene from Steph Curry's wife, Ayesha Curry, acting like she's going to pull off a ring because a really muscular, good-looking guy came out of the back with a bunch of drinks for the young ladies. And I actually covered this. But one thing that this shows me is that it's going to be very difficult for women that think that this is funny to go to certain places on the planet. And so even if you're talking about, I want to date out and I want to date men that are not, you know, in my area, I'd like to reach out. Some of those young ladies that think that this is a joke are going to get a re-education when they're dealing with a man who will not take any disrespect. And he doesn't have to worry about the authorities coming in, taking him away or taking half of his.
This is why Passport Sis is such a failure. because the women in America have a lack of respect for people in general. So when you go to these other countries, guess who's gonna get smacked around, and who's gonna get put in jail, and who's gonna do all these bad things, or get these bad things done to? It's mostly women, because they don't have that level of respect that other countries have, because they were able to do whatever the fuck they wanted in the West. But that's not how it works in other countries.
His possessions and punishing him because the society fundamentally operates different than it does in the West, where a woman can act a certain way and a man that's trying to act a certain kind of traditionally masculine can just lose it all.
Yep. What is going on?
You're not supposed to be recording.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I think that gives us as black men an advantage over our passport sisters is that as black men in America, we understand that there are times where you just have to hold your tongue. You can't say what you feel. You have to grin and bear. You just have to take it. And if you open up and make your opinion known, you will pay the price for it at some time.
Correct.
And if you're not used to living under those kind of circumstances, it's very difficult for you to go to a different culture where you're expected to do that and be able to do that and humbly do that. And I think one of the reasons why you're starting to see more and more stories of passport sisters having difficulties going overseas is because, simply put, instead of adapting to the environment and becoming submissive like the women around them, they want to change the environment to something that they're used to.
Yep.
And quite simply put, there are some places where they do not want to see their environment, and more specifically, their women start to act like they see American women acting on, say, the BET Awards or on TikTok or on, you know, other sites where women are selling whatever for money. And if you're trying to retrofit other cultures to that, even small micro, should I say, discretions, if you will, in terms of you not showing respect to certain people, they remember that stuff.
Yep.
And when time comes and they get tired of it, sometimes the way they show it is not a way that many people in the West are used to. As intelligent black men, we understand that there are times when in the corporate environment or when dealing with policemen or even federal authorities, we understand that we have to just bow our head and show respect and not be menacing. And this trait that we've learned from that environment comes in super handy overseas. As a matter of fact, it's actually very appreciated, because if you're in a situation where someone is above you and you naturally show reverence to them, they understand that as this person actually understands how to function in our society. They're not trying to change it. They're trying to become a part of it. Now,
shout outs to Passport Pops, Passport OG. What he's saying is correct. I hit this factor a lot. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. Respect. Respect is such a big thing in a lot of these other countries, especially Asian countries. Like, I'll tell you one story I was told when I was younger. If you were walking down a street and an old man had like a tin can out in the street and you kicked it, it would be your fault for not watching where you walk, right? Now we flip it the other way. And then you're a younger cat and an older gentleman comes in and then kicks your bucket the exact same way. Guess whose fault it is? It's not his fault. It's your fault, because you're younger and you know better to put your tin can out in front for other people to kick. That's a humbling thing to learn when you're a kid, that you have to humble yourself. When it comes to adults, when it comes to respect, you just take a hit. Please like us right down below. I really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.